Hey guys, welcome back from your air quotes break. Right before break, we were talking about the errors that can occur in hypothesis testing. So type 1 and type 2 errors should sound familiar to you. When you reject the null hypothesis when you shouldn't have, that's type 1, also known as a false positive. Meaning you're getting a positive result by mistake. And then a type 2, when you don't reject the null hypothesis, but you should have, that is the same as a false negative. Those are terms you might hear in like everyday language, to be honest. Now, I asked you last week, how can you reduce the chance of these errors? The best way to reduce both of them, and this is what you guys got, is to increase the sample size. Right? That's always a good thing to do if you can. Now, if I don't want to reject a null hypothesis, think about it. I reject a null hypothesis when I get a p-value that is less than alpha, right? So if I decrease my alpha level, I should decrease the chance of a type 1 error. So if I decrease alpha, meaning like if I shift this over this way, right? Then I would only be rejecting a little part over here, and I would reduce the chance of making that error. The problem is if I decrease the alpha level, I will increase the chance of a type 2 error. So it decreases type 1 error, but increases type 2, so it's not great. So if I want to decrease a type 2 error, I can actually increase alpha. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow. But here's just another chart, right? This is, over here, the conclusion you make, right? And then what's actually true, you read down this way. So that sums up the type 1 and the type 2 errors for you. Okay? There's just one more thing I want to add to this. And this is, if I reject the null hypothesis correctly, so I rejected it and it was false, obviously that's a good thing. When that happens, it's called the power of the test. So the power is the probability of correctly rejecting the null hypothesis. Right? So that's a good thing. That's why that's in green, right? And that's why the errors are in red, because you want to avoid those. Okay? So just one, new term for today, the power, and a little bit of a review of the errors. Now keep in mind, just because there's an error doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. If you go out and take a random sample and you just happen to get a, large proportion or a large mean or a small proportion, if you just happen to get an unlikely sample, you could end up with an error, even if you did everything correct. That's the tough part about statistics. Okay? So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Hopefully I'll see you guys, air quotes again,